Ajay, please.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for the opportunity. And before I start, let me tell you a small little story. It happened in 2004 when I actually started my journey with Grewala Institute. I landed up there and I found one Daisy machine which was for vitrectomy. And sir said you have to do your retina surgery on a Daisy machine. I somehow managed that day, and then I said we have to buy a machine. And he was having the best of phaco machines, but he said let's go and buy the Reticare machine. You know, Reticare was a new one, and Grewala Institute is a big center, so the people don't know what machine I'm using. For 1.5 years, I did Reticare, and then we upgraded ourselves. So somebody asked a question as to in what stage in practice what you bought, and sir said it depends upon whether you're a beginner, you want a best machine, or your experience. So mind you, it's very important that you know your machine, and within 1 month, the cost of that machine was out. So then I could tell him, sir, we need to buy a better machine. So he invested in a better machine. We have Constellation there. So all that is a story. But I'm just saying that you need to budget your machine right in the beginning and decide what you're comfortable with, and then buy the appropriate machine. Now, a successful ophthalmic practice needs some ABCD. You should have, so this is something which I think we just want to mention, that your practice should have a good access. You should have a good background of running your practice, like budgeting and what sir has said. You should have the competence of running your practice, and then you have a desire to succeed. So the duration of practice is important. Now, as far as the VR equipment, there are two categories, medical retina and surgical retina. If you are a phacosurgeon and you want to have a medical retina practice, now these are the equipments you must have. You can have, you have to have an indirect ophthalmoscope, you have to examining lenses like a 20D and a 90D, a slit lamp of course, maybe a fundus camera, an OCT and a B-scan, and the last two are optional like electrophysiology and OCT angiography. But in case you do medical retina and laser, so you should buy a laser, and then of course the operating microscope, which as has been mentioned should be the best possible microscope you can afford for VR surgery, vitrectomy machine, all the accessories for the VR machine, the recording facility and appropriate anesthesia and nursing care which goes with it. So you can divide your setting up your VR practice into different stages. It can be a stage 1 where you go in for the slit lamp, indirect ophthalmoscope, or diagnostic lenses like 20D or 90D, an OCT and a fundus camera. Go to the second stage, which is a combination of basic diagnostic and an interventional stage where you have retinal lasers, a vitrectomy machine, vitrectomy accessories, anesthesia facilities, and a wide-angle viewing system, and a later stage when you can upgrade your laser to a micropulse laser. I think the recording system can probably come right in the beginning, because most of us want to record our good surgeries and present. OCT angiography depends upon what stage you are in, ICG angiography and electrophysiology. So you should decide at various stages what you want to buy. Now, why and when you want to buy a particular equipment depends upon the stage where you are in, the standard of care that you want to offer in your practice, and the competition you have where you are practicing, what competence you have, whether you want to have an edge over your competition, the return on investment, and the desire to excel. Then of course you should have a risk-taking ability. As somebody asked, should I buy a machine because I so desire to have a better machine than what I actually need? And I'll tell you about this when we discuss about the OCT. So for the equipment, the return of investment is the appropriate charges, the volume you need to break up for the particular equipment, the depreciation value, which as has been mentioned should be about 20% per year. What are your maintenance expenses per year, and what are the returns over here? Like for the YAG laser, which sir said is working still for 15 years. So the return on investment over the 15-year period, the machine has been productive, and you compare this with the cost of equipment. Now the process of buying an equipment, it goes through, you decide to buy an equipment, you say, okay, I want an OCT machine. Then you say, okay, let me choose what are the products available, what are the quality of products available in the market, what all things each machine can offer. Once you decide what your needs are, then you identify a current supplier, and this is very important. You should have a supplier with whom you can, on whom you can depend, who has a good reputation of taking care of breakdowns, who gives you a good service, and is basically honest and be fair in your dealing. If you have somebody who is not fair, you would not like to associate with a supplier like that. Then you must have a list of users, call them up, take a feedback, and have a genuine interaction with them before you decide. Then develop a good rapport with the supplier, because beyond everything what is written on paper, it is the rapport which makes a difference. And with all the Indian companies, if you have a good rapport, a lot of things can happen. Then a good knowledge of equipment and maintenance, so you should yourself know what is at the heart of equipment. Like if any equipment breaks down at my center, if I can, I would rather, when their small little fuse has blown off, something has gone off, I should be able to repair it myself, rather than, even if I have an AMC, I should be able to handle it. So that's my perspective, and this is how you should go ahead. Now, this is again a small little mnemonic made. You should be able to paint your practice. You should have a peer review and popularity. It should be an affordability. How does it integrate into your system? That is your workflow, the EMR. What is the need for you today and need for tomorrow, whether you want to buy a new machine or an old machine. Technology, whether the tomorrow's technology, which is said to be tomorrow, would be useful for you today, so that you are at par with the best at the moment and you are taken care for next few years. What are the services, specs, and standing of the company? So let me come to each small equipment, and like you have this non-contact lenses, there are a huge lot of lenses available. I am happy with the 90D. I can see everything on the fundus with the 90D. Fair enough, you don't have to buy various wide angle systems. So like I have a 78-90D, I have a digital high mag, but I still commonly use a 90D. So if you have to have a non-contact, I would say a 90D is a good buy. You have to have a contact lens, and once I started doing the OCTs many years back, I realized that whatever my OCT can see, I can also see with a good contact lens examination of the fundus. So these are the various lenses which you have for the non-contact, and 90D is a good buy. And then these are the other various non-contact lenses available in the market. So you should, whatever you have been trained with, that is the lens to go for. If some lenses offer you a better visibility, try out those lenses. If you're happy with it, if you can afford it, and they're going to change your decision-making process, go for that lens. Otherwise, whatever you've been trained with is good enough. These are the various non-contact lenses, and this. So basically here there are two lenses. One is for the central fundus, one is for almost a wide angle viewing. So I personally use a focal lens for the central one, which is a focal mainstay lens, or I use a wide field mainstay lens, which is for, and these are invariably the laser lenses, so we use the same for examination as well as laser. Now the indirect ophthalmoscope, a lot has happened in last 2-3 years in the Indian market. We invariably used to buy a Keeler or a Hine or a Welch-Schellen. I was very particular about Hine. But recently, Appasamy has come out with some beautiful indirects, which are cheap, which are cordless, which get recharged, which have an LED supply. And it's not that I'm professing for a particular company. You can buy any company, but you look at all these options that are available. They should be lightweight. They should have an LED illumination. I would prefer a wireless because that helps me move around with the patient. You should have a padded headband so that it doesn't cause a headache. You should have a small pupil option, and you should have options for the pupillary distance adjustment, and they should be reasonably cheap for you to afford. So this is how you should decide about an indirect ophthalmoscope. And about the lenses, I still prefer the good old 20D, but you have so many options available, and you can buy from any company. Most of the companies which are available are Vogue, and we prefer to buy a 20D lens. Now, when you look at a fundus camera, you want to make a decision whether you really need a fundus camera or not. Many OCT machines now are coming with a colored fundus images. So you may buy an OCT machine which also has a colored fundus images. But if you wish to have a fundus camera, then these are the various things which you look at, whether it has a non-mydriatic facility, whether it's a wide angle, whether you can actually look at the fundus through the eyepiece and take a picture, or you can just see on the computer screen. That depends upon your training and your comfort level. I still prefer to look into the fundus rather than seeing on the computer screen. But when somebody else is doing a photography for me, they look at the computer screen because then it works as a non-mydriatic mode. Whether you have an autofluorescence, which is very important these days. So most of the fundus cameras now come up with an autofluorescence facility. Then of course you will have a fluorescent angiography, but ICG is an optional thing. So you need to make a decision, and in the end, of course, service is very important for any equipment. Now,
Can you
I
sum up
will
first?
quickly. So
Yeah.
these are the various fundus cameras that are available. And now we come to the OCT. So we have various OCTs available. You can either go for the spectral domain or the spectral domain OCT with an octa. And of course, when you look at the OCTs, you would like to know whether it's a swept source OCT or the spectral domain OCT. These are the various options that are available. So you have plenty of OCTs which are available in the market. Most of them are able to deliver almost similarly, and you have various machines available with an octa facility. If today you have to buy, I personally feel that if you can afford, you should invest in a machine which can do both spectral domain and OCT angiography. I'll just give an example of the same fundus having been viewed by various octa machines. You see here a vessel here, you see vessel here, a vessel here, a vessel there, but there are two machines which are supposed to be one of the best. One is an Optovia Avanti and Heidelberg. They don't reveal that vessel. But when you get a deeper view, they reveal the vessel. So each machine has certain characteristics. You need to go into the details of that, talk to the users and realize, and then based upon the cost, you decide which machine you want to buy. Regarding B-scan, you need to make a decision what you want. We have good B-scans available in the Indian market, and you have standard brands available from multinationals. You need to have a B-scan. If you want a B-scan with a UBM facility, great. Regarding lasers, you can have lasers which have got two outputs of, so one is connected to the slit lamp, but the other is connected to the laser indirect. Or you can have machines which have got micropulse facility, and we have lasers from various companies available, whether they are single spot or a multi-spot, and the lasers which are made in our country are also fairly good, and they are very reliable. So this is a pattern scan, and then as I told you, the story of the vitrectomy machine right in the beginning. You can have the vitrectomy machine. We have the Accurus which has been phased out, Constellation which is available, and then we have the various DOT machines that are available, and you have other machines which, this is Versavit which is actually very good, Stellaris PC. So, and there are Indian vitrectomy machines which are fairly able to do the jobs, and then you have your own accessories which you should, which you can improvise and use them multiple times. You can ETO sterilize them, and many of them are available in the Indian market, made by the Indian company. And then you should try to innovate, like what I have done with my, this is a trocar system which goes, is a patented trocar system. So I save my cost of trocars by using my own system, where I don't need a trocar cannula system, which this particular thing does it, and it is very good. So the take-home message is budget equipment, decide what stage you want to buy which equipment, decide the brand, do a good homework, do not compromise on quality even if you have to spend extra amount of money. We preferably plan to have a CMC of two years, and train your staff for good maintenance, improvise your system, and where possible, try to buy make in India equipment. Thank